Clip over. There we go. Okay, so we're live. I'm just going to count to see how far behind we are on the YouTube side. So it's usually about 30 seconds. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, oh my gosh, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40 seconds behind. Oh my gosh. Crazy. Hi, Diane on the YouTube side. All right. Yay. So anytime you want to show me Stephanie. Stephanie's just showing me something to do with homework. She's been struggling a little bit getting her double-sided tape to stick. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. And I actually was working on one myself. This is one I was working on today. And this is why I asked if it was fleecy backed, because this one here, this was a panel I got a long time ago. I don't know what it is, but I found that in my corners, it wasn't wanting to stick down. That's why I have the duct tape in the corners, and it's fleecy backed like this. But sticking some Gorilla Tape or duct tape in the corners just to hold those corners down, as long as it's not going to be in your stitching line, worked really good. And then if you put your zipper on, as soon as you do that, once you have your zipper on, everything holds into place. And another thing I was telling Stephanie and Cynthia, because we've been talking this week about doing this, they were both having problems getting it around the corners. I don't know if you can see my corners. See, they aren't perfectly flat, but on this side, they are perfectly flat. So as long as there are no creases within 1/8 of an inch of where you'll be top stitching, it'll be completely fine. So do not think that you need to work to get this completely flat. Now, this one is just a really good example because this was a thicker kind of stuff. It's kind of like, see, this is where it wasn't wanting to stick for me. Other vinyl sticks really good, but for some reason this one, and I have a feeling this one might be similar to that vinyl that you were using, Stephanie, because it's kind of like super, almost suede-ish, but not. But yeah, after talking to you and Cynthia about it, I cut out this one and I'm like, no, my corners aren't sticking. They have cursed me. So I just, that's okay. So I stopped making this one today because I wanted to show you guys how that was. So underneath my duct tape here, see how my corner is? I've already got my zipper put on there, but you do not need to get that perfectly flat. And then once I put the Gorilla Tape on that corner, it held it in place perfectly for me. You just want to make sure that you're not going to be sewing through it, because even on an industrial, duct tape isn't the best thing to sew through because it's like super strong. But it can be kind of pleated like that, as long as you're smoothing it out that first 1/8 of an inch. And you can kind of see once I got my zipper tape on, you can't even tell. See, there's no little tucks or anything because they were further, but there's lots on this side. You can see, can you see that there? See, there's a big one there. But on this side, you can't see it because I made sure that I made it nice and smooth outside of where it would be top stitched on. So when making it, don't think that you need to get it completely flat on this side. Just want to make it so 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch here is nice and flat, because anything else that's kind of tucked up is hidden on the inside, so it doesn't matter. Does that make sense? Does that help at all?
It does.
Yeah.
I have a little trick for those corners. I don't know. Hopefully I can explain it well. Is that once you've got your tape on there and your tape is all sticky, you get, I just take my fingernail and just a fraction of an inch at a time, just poke that fabric down around that curve.
Oh, so kind of like, okay, pretend my tape's not on here. You just kind of go like this?
Yeah, I just kind of push my fingernail down around the entire curve
Okay.
Until it's nice and smooth around that curve, and it does not matter what it looks like on the inside. Just use my fingernail.
Okay.
That's all I've done, and it works out perfect.
Okay, so that's similar to what I was saying. So pretend I don't have my zipper tape on here, and you guys can see how it's kind of all pleaty in there. All Dawn is saying is she takes her fingernail and just kind of, just to clear that eighth of an inch, she kind of just, she just, oopsies, let me see. Okay, so she just kind of moves it down like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I start at the very top of the curve, like the roundest part of the curve.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of make my way around the other two sides. Yeah.
So yeah, this is just one of those things where this wallet gets easier and easier the more and more you make. My I got to put my something on do not disturb because my mother is messaging me now. 1 second, let me put my computer on do not disturb so we don't hear those sounds. So yeah, but for Cynthia and Stephanie, because I knew you're having that problems there, do not get it nice, and you don't have to get it nice on this side. Just as long as once you put your zipper on, it's nice. And I really recommend, like, put some tape on there like I've done in these corners. And I said I didn't do it on this one, but this is the class one. Look at my corners. They're not pretty. They're not pretty on that inside, but there's no tucks on this. See? Because I've pushed them all down. And if there's, oh, I got one little one right there, but do you know what? Nobody's going to notice that. So don't think it needs to go. You're just trying to wrap it around that deckable heavy piece to get the shape of the wallet. And as long as it looks good on this side, that's all that matters.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, and it's going to change every time you use a different fabric on the outside, because if you're using cotton, you're going to be able to press that really, really good with your iron, which makes it super, super easy. But yeah, depending, like this one is the Lux from Galaxy Customs. This one, I don't know. It was a sheet I got from somewhere years ago. I think it might be from Fantastic, or maybe from I don't know. This wallet just works really good for the sheets. So this was the first time I had a problem with it sticking. And I thought Stephanie and Cynthia sent me the non-sticking voodoo stuff because we've been talking about it nonstop the last couple of days, but trying to get those corners to stick. So just do whatever you need to do. And again, mine doesn't look pretty on this opposite side, and it doesn't have to, as long as it does around here. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Kathy, were you making this one with us? I don't know if I have it marked down.
I am. I am making this one, and I was just looking at my corners. I did what Don did too. I used my fingernail. And though my first one, the corners are not perfectly round, they're actually not bad for my first one.
Exactly. Perfect. Good. So you were okay with the corners though. So yeah, Don's trick works well too. And actually, that's kind of explained it a little bit better than what I was trying to explain what I do about having to get it around. So that is a really handy tip. But this wallet, we are using a lot of leather working techniques. There's a lot of new techniques. So that's why your very first one may seem a little bit challenging, because they aren't your typical techniques that we have done in bag making. So when Anna and I came up with this pattern, Anna is an upholsterer. So there's a lot of upholstery techniques in this as well. So just be patient. And if it doesn't make sense, reach out to me and I will help you through it. And as I was telling Stephanie and Cynthia, if it gets to the point where we need to do a Zoom call so I can see what you're doing, we can do that during the week. That's what I'm here for. So, but I think that we are good. Were there any other questions? Did anybody have any problems getting the zipper on? Or were we okay? I think we're okay. I gotta remember not to forget about the YouTube chat here. Why am I not seeing it all? Okay, 1 sec here. Let me pop out this chat. There we go. Okay, so we got Rhonda there. Hi, Rhonda. Hi, Cynthia. Okay. There's Apollo. Hi, Apollo. Don's puppy. It's okay. All right. So there's only one more part in this wallet that is tough, and we won't be doing that until next week. Now, that part, I know I talked about, that's when it comes to the top stitching. And I know I said I was going to do it on the flatbed machine, but I have a lot of the class are on either have a cylinder arm or more so have a free arm. So for the class, I'm actually going to show that on the cylinder arm next week because my tutorial shows it on the flatbed. So it gives the best of both worlds. So I hope that that is okay with everybody, just because I had that request to show how to do it on a free arm. And I'm like, well, I can't do two things at the same time. So, but my tutorial does have it on that machine. So I show you, and I kind of show you, I'll show you how to position it under. It's more the positioning and making sure the gusset is out of the way. But again, I'm ahead of myself. So that's next week. Today is pretty easy. We're just going to build all the inner guts. We may not put them all together. We will see how far we get, but we're going to do our pocket, or our zipper, or coin pocket, and our 2-card slot panels. So last week was a little intense. Next week will be a little intense, but this week is easy peasy. Does that work for everybody? Make sure I'm working on the right project here. All right. Okay, let me mark down who we have here. So I said we had Rhonda is here. Rhonda, are you making this with us? I know you had it all cut out, but something came up last week. How about you, Dawn? Did you get one cut out? I can't remember. I know your shoulder's been bothering you. Cynthia is doing it.
Got one cut out, but I'm not allowed to sew until I see my pain specialist again on Friday.
Well, okay, I'll give you a pass.
Too much repetition, apparently.
Yeah, I get that for sure. We have Diane. I know she's working on it, but she actually just got home from work. Diane is over in the other chat. She messaged me earlier, and she's had a long, tiring day at work, so she's just going to catch up. Stephanie's working on it. Kathy is working on it. Is that everybody I have here? I think so. Am I missing anybody? Anybody else there? Again, we do have 66 people in this class. So if you're there watching, or if you're watching this after the fact, make sure you say hey in the chat or in the comments so I know that you are here. All right.
Brandy, does it tell you how many are on today, just out of curiosity?
It will only tell me how many people are participating in the chat part. So, okay. And that's only if they're active in the last 10 seconds. So Cynthia and Rhonda, I can see in my participants, have made a comment, but I also know Diane has been making comments, but yeah, right. That's all it really gives us. So, okay. Yeah, the joys of having a live one, but that's okay. All righty. Okay. Let me get, yes, Kathy?
Oh, sorry. I have one little tool that I'd like to show you that I have that is great for doing the corners. When you do, we modified the pattern to use the corners. I have a template that I got from My Fabric Dresser, which is out of London, Ontario. And it does 3 different size corners. It's a great, I don't think you can see much of it, but it's a great tool. It's really neat because it has all the rounded corners. So when you're modifying the pattern, all I did was lay this down where I drew my lines, and then I got a perfectly round corner here. It's a great, it's $9.95 at My Fabric Dresser, but it's a great tool for any rounded project you're working on.
Yes, I think I may need to get one of those. So that's $9.95 Canadian because it's out of Ontario. Kathy is Canadian like me. So yeah, that I'm gonna have to check that out. I've actually never really checked out My Fabric Dresser much. I know she does pre-orders and stuff, doesn't she, for fabrics, vinyls, that kind of thing. Oh, Rhonda says she has one of them too. So thank you. That is awesome. I'm gonna have to check that out too because that make my life a little bit easier.
One. There's a ruler by Quilter Select. It's a curved ruler. It's the same thing, but mine was a $9.99.
Awesome. That's what I love about this group is, I mean, we can introduce each other to things that would make it easier. And now I think I may need one of those. So I might have to go buy one. Awesome. Thank you so much. Any other comments before we get started? Anything anybody wants to share? Any concerns about anything? Or are we good to go? As everybody goes quiet. Okay, so Rhonda is watching today and catching up later. And then she says she has one of those rulers as well. Okay, so we're probably going to go not in the order of the pattern because that's what I do. We're going to start first off by doing the coin purse pocket and preparing our gusses just so we can get that out of the way, and then we can, because it's super fast to do, and then we can spend the last part of the class constructing our card slots, which is, it takes a little more time. It's repetitive. It's the same thing over and over again. We're going to be doing some chain stitching to just kind of whiz it through the machine and all that. So, and I've been making these all week, and I've got a really, really good flow going now. So I'm going to share that flow with you guys. All right. Okay. So let me put this down to my table. Okay. Where am I going? Right here. Oh, man, I really got to get a new table. This looks, I've washed this, believe it or not. It is just what it is. Well used. Okay. So for homework, we should have also done our lining panels and done our top stitching just in these little curves. So those are all ready to go. We'll be revisiting those later on. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to pull out our coin purse exterior and lining. And I'm just going to quickly give this a press because it's decided to, I'll get my iron warming up here. It's decided to fold on itself. So we'll start with our exterior piece. You want to make sure it is the 6 inches going across here, which mine is. So you want to make sure you're working with the 6-inch side. This one is 5.5. This one is 6 inches. Okay. And then we're going to flip this over. I'm actually just going to, I'm going to mute everybody here. So if you need my attention, just make sure you unmute and then you'll pop on the screen and we'll be good. Okay. So what we want to do, again, make sure we're working with the 6-inch along the top, and on the back, we are going to draw, where's my pen? A 1/4 inch line. Just like so. And again, I'm going to be using double-sided tape because I love the stuff. You can definitely use glue or whatever it is you use. This is preparing for our zipper. So we are going to put some double-sided tape above that line, as well as below that line for both of them. If you guys see a fly, the flies are really, really bad in Kamloops this time of year, and I have my window open, and I have a pet fly today. Again, I seem to always have a pet fly, and it keeps coming and landing like in here. So if you see it, just say hi. We named him Buzz. So hi, Donelda.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you? Are you sewing with us today?
Just got here, so we'll see what I can get going here.
Sounds good. How did you make out with the homework? Did you have any problems with the corners or anything like that for the homework?
No.
Nope.
I don't think so.
Okay, perfect.
I think I did it right.
I'm sure you did. We had a little bit of a talk about the corners for the last beginning of the class. So some great pointers were given by class members that have some little tips and tricks that worked really, really good. So yeah.
Oh, I might have to go back and listen to it.
There you go. All right. So again, we're working with our coin purse. So we've done our tape and our line. So the first thing we're going to do is take out these center lines. We're going to take our lining piece and we're going to put it right sides together, right at those lines. Okay, and I obviously cut mine too big, so I'm just going to trim it out. So it's it should be a 1/4 inch smaller on the top and the bottom than I obviously just cut the wrong size, just like so. So this one for the lining, you can use a cotton fabric. because we're going to be enclosing all of the edges. These ones here, these side edges will remain raw, but they're going to be clasped in a gusset, so they will be enclosed. Okay, and then what we want to do is we want to fold this edge down and over top by 1/4 of an inch over. So you're folding it right at that line over the lining fabric. Of course, I'm using waterproof canvas. We'll see if it will actually stick. Might not want to. And then I'm going to take another piece of double-sided tape. This is where, if you're on a domestic, I would use the 1/8 of an inch one if you can to keep it out of the seam allowance. I'm just putting this on right now to hold this on, but we'll be needing it for the zipper as well. So you'll put this tape on at least an 1/8 of an inch away from where, because we'll be top stitching along here with an 1/8 of an inch once we attach it to the zipper. So just to hold it in place. And we're going to do the same with the bottom side. And then a piece of tape along there as well. That's one thing with wallets, especially zipper wallets like this. They use a lot of glue and a lot of tape. There was another small wallet that's come out, I've noticed, and she made the comment was, it's a lot of glue and tape, but trust me, it's worth it. And it completely is. And same with if you're making the classic zipper round from Maggie 55. She uses mostly glue. It's a lot of glue, but it is worth it. Okay. So that is that. And then we're going to take our number 3 zipper. I don't know what I cut mine to. I think I cut it longer than what the pattern says, but just cut it to what the pattern says. On the wrong side of the right-hand side, we're going to flip this over and we're going to draw a 1-inch line. And this is going to help us get our zipper pull on nice and straight later. So this is on the wrong side of the tape, the right-hand side of the wrong side. Once you have that done, you can pull that zipper tape apart. And you want to situate these so the right side up, but you want it so that 1-inch line we drew is on the side. So kind of situate them like so. So the right side up, and I have the line on the right-hand side. So we'll work with this top one first. We're going to take off the paper from our tape. I have a bucket over here for garbage, so I stopped throwing stuff on my floor. We'll see how long that lasts. And we're going to make this side, so I'm going to trim up. My lining is a little bit too long here. I'm just going to go square this up. That's my bad cutting, because I get lazy. Okay. We're going to line this corner up, right up with the short raw edge of the zipper tape and stick it down. So these are both right side up. You want to stick it down so that zipper is nice and straight, making sure you're leaving enough there for your zipper pull to move freely. So I'm doing it about a 1/4 inch or so away from the zipper tape and sticking it down, making sure it's nice and straight. You could also line it up with the bottom of what we folded over as well if you wanted to. Okay, and then we're going to do the same with the opposite side. Just bear with me. I know it looks weird, but trust me, it'll work. So right side up, except for this one we're doing from the opposite side. You want to make sure you're not doing it on the side that has the line. So line it up and stick it down. My tape is really sticky if you guys can't hear that. It's sticking to my hands. There's that fly. My goodness. Okay. Like that. And once you're happy with that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to top stitch across here and across here, and that'll attach the tape. Do this one a little bit better. Again, stop me if there's any questions. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep going through. Oh, Cynthia's having computer problems. Oh no, darn those computers, hey. Okay. I'm just going to, I want to see. I'm just adjusting my screen here so I can actually see what is going on. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to take this to the machine and we're going to top stitch. Oh, that's long threads. Okay, so just across there. And I can tell you when I'm sewing this wallet, I just keep my zipper foot on always. Always. And it is I want to say it's my left zipper foot. My walking foot part is going this way. Okay, so that's one side done. And now the other side. Now I did learn because I was using some colored zipper tape, and I don't have much for number 3 zipper tape, and I wanted it to have matching pulls. So I did do this for a couple with number 5 zipper tape, and it worked just fine still. So you could use number 5 here if you didn't have any number 3. Okay. Alrighty. So that's what that looks like. It's all in place. And the zipper, we made sure we caught the whole zipper. Now what we want to do is we want to attach that zipper pull. So I'm going to grab my handy dandy fork here. Ignore my messy floor. I've been busy. Okay. So however you put your zipper pulls on, I just use this creation that my husband made for me. Take this. And I put my little teeny, I'm not used to working with number 3. It's so tiny. Wrong side up, my zipper pull. And you're going to kind of fold this right or wrong sides together or lining side together like so. And you're going to bring your teeth like so. So you see the wrong side. And this is where we are going to line up those lines we drew when we go to put this on. So we know that our zipper has gone on nice and straight. Nope. Sometimes it takes a couple times to get it on, but it's better than pulling it on and off all the way. This line just helps you. Oh, I think I got it that time. Just helps you get it on straight without having to keep unzipping. So then you can go ahead and you can zip it almost to the ends, but not quite. It looks like it's matching up pretty good. Remove my fork before I stab myself with it. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we are going to line up kind of where these seams are, nice and straight. It's going to make that zipper be like on top, which is what we want. So this seam and this seam on each side, you want to make sure they're aligned. Make sure your lining is all tucked in, and we are going to put that in place. So this is leaving this edge raw. Don't worry if you have fraying fabric here because it's going to be enclosed in a gusset next week. This side here, I always trim my tail off afterwards, but just want to make sure your zipper's looking nice and flat and straight on top. You're lining up those seams and clip in place. And then once that looks good there, that's when I go ahead and I kind of trim up that tail. Just like that. Now I find it, but we're just going to base this with 1/8 of an inch, and I find it easier to go from the bottom all the way up, and then the tape doesn't, zipper tape doesn't kind of shimmy out of the way. So right here, you want to make sure the tape is on top. You want to make sure that this end doesn't like end up going down. You know, sometimes how it can get oblonged and whatever. You want to try to keep it as straight as you can across this top. So let's go ahead and base that. All right, so I'm going to start from the bottom, but you can do whichever direction you like. I just find for me, from the bottom works great. Base those short edges in place and be very aware of what your zipper tape is doing. Same with the opposite side. Easy peasy. Oh, I hear airplanes above. Okay, so that's what we got. See how my zipper stayed nice and straight, and you have a functioning coin pocket, and we can put that aside until next week. And then what we want to grab out next is our gusset exteriors and gusset lining pieces. Of course, I don't have my pattern pieces here, so the gusset linings are smaller than our gusset exteriors. So it's pattern piece N is what we're working with. Now, similar to like what we did there, what we want to do is we want to draw 1/4 inch lines on the top and the bottoms of our exterior gusset lining pieces. So pattern piece ends. You don't really need to draw the line on the bottom, but I did. And very similar to what we did for the coin pocket, is we're going to put tape above and below that line for both. And then towards the center of the piece, like so. Again, you can use glue. You could probably use clips here if you wanted to as well. I just know that this is going to not shift at all. You do you and what your machine likes you to do. Okay. Actually, you didn't need to put the tape on this bottom line, the 2 layers. You only needed the 1 piece of tape. Okay, so it's because I forgot to put it here. So just like we did with the coin pocket, we're going to put our lining piece wrong sides together, but it's going to be flush with the bottom. So just kind of put it right down like so. And if there's any overhang on the bottom due to bad cutting like me, just go ahead and trim it off. You want it to be the same size as the exterior. Again, I'm a lazy cutter. We know this. And then we're going to fold the raw edge over the lining raw edge, just like this. So this is why you can't use fraying fabric with this, because this bottom is left raw. So if you were using, say, a cotton for the lining, you could always make the exterior 1/4 inch bigger, so you can fold it up and over that raw edge if you wanted to do that. That's completely up to you. But it's just easier to do it with non-fraying fabric, because then it's keeping that bulk, because this is where it's going to get bulky when we're doing our gussets, because we're going to have to sew through all the layers that are here. So depending on your machine, it may or may not like doing that. So the less layers we can have, the better. So we want to do the same with the opposite one. I think my son is cleaning his room above us. He's being really noisy up there. Can you guys hear him stomping around? I don't know. Okay, so again, my lining piece, I'm putting it down below that 1/4 inch line. If there's, see, look how bad I cut. I'm terrible. Just trim it up so they're the same. Fold over that top edge to enclose that raw edge. And of course, the exterior has that raw edge. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to top stitch here as well as along the bottom for both pieces. And I'm just going to chain stitch them here. So I'm going to start with that folded over edge just to make sure that my tape holds. And the other one. And then same with the bottom edges. Even though they're raw edges, we still want to do that decorative top stitch on them. Now I'm hearing somebody leave. I was just taking something to the garbage. Okay, so that's what those two gussets look like. They look pretty good. Next, we want to pull out one of our lining panels. Now, when I'm looking at my lining panels, I want to keep my prettiest one. So I'm looking at my corners because you can see my corners aren't all uniform. The corners aren't necessarily going to show with the pocket with the coin purse. So I want to make sure I have my prettiest one for the one that's going to flop down for my pockets. And I think this one is my prettiest one. So I'm going to put that aside. And my, even though it's still pretty, but the one that's not as perfect as the other one, I'm going to pull out. I got my curvy sections going into the center here. And what we're going to do is we're going to measure down from this top edge by a 1/2 inch. And draw a line with an erasable pen. We can do the same on the other side, but the pen's going to erase, so we'll just mark the other side next week when we will be attaching the other parts. Now, this is something that isn't in the pattern. This is just a little, I think Lise, who is one of the testers, came up with this. Because she's on a Juki 2010Q, and I'm going to be putting double-sided tape on either side of this, but she found basting it would be best. So what you're going to do is you have this side here. So you have it right side up, you have your piece right side up, and you're going to line it up at that 1/2 inch mark right along this side. Now in the pattern, we just use the double-sided tape to hold it, but for the class, just to keep things easier, is we're going to go ahead and base this. Now you want to base this nicely because at as much of an 1/8 of an inch as you can, because the stitching will kind of show, but it'll be kind of tucked inside. And then when we go to sew the exterior, we will be sewing through it again. So they should hopefully line up. So I'm going to use tape and I'm going to base them. So on the wrong side, I'm putting tape down both sides. At as much of an 1/8 of an inch as you can. Oops. The stitching I hear myself. I'm just going to mute you, Cynthia, there. Okay. Exterior, we will be sewing through it again, so they should hopefully line up. So there we go. Okay, so again, right side up. Lining is right side up. Gusset is right side up. We're going to stick that down or clip it down as evenly as you can at that 1/2 inch, and they're going to kind of slant down like this. We're going to do the same with the opposite one. But we're going to put it down on the opposite side. So make sure you're removing the tape from the opposite side, lining it up at that mark best we can. If there's any little bit of overhang, we can trim that off momentarily. Okay. And then we're just going to go ahead and we are going to baste. First, I'm going to see how I got like these little wings here? Careful not to cut your lining. I'm just cutting off those wings so they kind of go with the curve. Because you don't want to have excess bulk hanging out. But you don't want to cut your lining. Okay, so we're going to go and baste those in place with an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. And this part isn't in the pattern. This is just a helpful hint. Now, It really helps make sure your thread matches your lining, because if it ends up not being perfect later, you won't even see it because it'll match up to your lining. Like you're going to see my thread is almost the exact same color as my gussets here, so I'm not going to see it too badly. But yes, I tried this. I believe it was Lise that said it, and it really helped with the step that the toughest step, which we will be visiting next week. Because before, as I did in the tutorial, I count on my tape to hold it in place, but sometimes that tape gives away. And if you are on a machine that's sensitive to that tape, the basting definitely will help. And honestly, nobody really sees it, so it is all good. Glad you got on your computer, Cynthia. All right. Okay, so that's it for this side. We will revisit this next week. So this is what that looks like, and we can put that aside. Any questions so far about what we have done? I know it kind of moved really fast. Nobody stopped me, so I figured we were good. Any questions? Again, if you have any questions throughout the week, just reach out to me. I'm here to help you guys. So now we're going to work on the fun part. Now we're going to do our card slots. How are we doing for time? We're doing amazing for time. Okay. My hands don't work. So you want to grab out pretty much all of the other pieces that we have. We are going to build our 2 card slot sections. Is there anybody that's doing 4 card slots to avoid the tough part with the gusset, the thicknesses? If you are doing the 4 card slot sections, then you will just repeat what we're doing with this one for this panel rather than doing what we did here. So if you're going to have like 1, 2, 3, 4 card slots, you will just do what we're doing here twice.
That's what I'm doing, Brandy.
That's what you're doing? Okay.
Yeah.
So what we're doing on this one, you will just do twice, and you are going to skip what we did here. You'll just repeat whatever we do on this one with this side. Okay? All right.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Where to start? Where to start? I got this little flies driving me insane. Okay, so let's start with our ID window. So I'm only going to do the 1 ID window, but you can do as many ID windows as you want. You would have had to cut it out of your piece here. I want to make sure I don't lose that because it's clear. So we're going to start with our pattern piece ease. Now on the back side, again, I'm going to be using double-sided tape. In this part, you could probably use some clips, except for not on the bottom part. Double-sided tape just makes it easier. So I'm going to measure down. Actually, in the pattern, I know it says measure down 1/4 inch from the top. I'm going to measure in 1/2 inch. So rather than folding at the 1/4 inch line, I'm going to fold to the 1/2 inch line. That just makes it easier for me. And along the bottom side, 1/4 inch line. Okay. We're going to take some tape and put it on the top and bottom edges. And if you put it along the top and bottom edges and you're using 1/8 of an inch tape, just keep it out of an 1/8 of an inch top stitch and you should be fine. I just always just sew through it because my machine does not mind it. Okay. So now this bottom section, we're just leaving the tape there. We aren't doing anything with that until the very end. These top sections, we are going to fold it down to that 1/2 inch line like so on both of them. Just like that. We're going to do a couple different steps here and then do it all the top stitching at the machine at the same time. Okay, so that's what that looks like so far. Next, we want to take our ID window, and along the top and bottom, you either want to do glue or tape. So hard to see these, and just put it along that top edge and the bottom edge. And Dawn, when you go to do the 4 card slots, you're going to go, wow, that's a lot easier than what you were testing before. gussets are they,
sure.
the gussets are tricky. But okay.
Well, and I hardly ever have cash or coin. It's all cards.
Yeah.
So I might as well have lots of card slots.
For sure. And that's what's so great about this pattern is you can customize it to whatever you like. Like I am making all of mine with the 2 card slot sections, and I'm not doing that one slip pocket section. And I'm the one, I was the lead designer on it, and I wrote it with that slip pocket section. And I'm like, I'm never going to use that slip pocket section. Why did I do that? Right. But some people may use that slip pocket section. So it just gives it, you build your own wallet. Okay. So now we're going to put these wrong sides together, and you're going to center this nicely in that box. And I just find if you line up your tape with the top and bottom of that box, you're not centered like me. Make sure your little punch out hole is centered in the box. I didn't cut my piece straight. Surprise, surprise. Okay. Good enough. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take these 2 things. We're not worrying about the bottom right now, but those tops where we folded them over, we're going to top stitch. And then we're also going to top stitch around this box. And that's going to make it so the clear vinyl stays in place. Now, when you go to do your clear vinyl, you can decide if you want to pull your threads to the back or not. I'm not going to worry about it. My thread really, really blends in with this waterproof canvas, so I don't really see my back stitching. Okay, so I'm going to start with my 2 folded over edges. I'm going to chain stitch them to get that nice top stitch. And then the one with the ID window, we're going to top stitch around the ID window through the canvas part, not through the clear vinyl, through the canvas part. Make sure when you come to your corners that you put your needle down before you pivot around. The only thing with yours, Dawn, is you got to cut those little top things like 20 times. They're so fiddly. We really need to learn to write SVG files, I think. Okay.
I was able to cut mine with a Cricut.
Did you figure out how to do a Cricut file? Excellent.
I did it.
I know how to do a Cricut file too. I should do that for mine. But I don't think you can export from Cricut as an SVG file. I don't think it lets you for some reason. I think I've tried before, or I just don't know what I'm doing. That could be the case as well.
Yeah, Stephanie, I beg you to send me the instructions to do that, because I have a cutter and I just don't know how to make SVG files yet.
I could probably Zoom with you one day and show you too, Dawn, if I remember how to do it. I haven't done it in many years. Let me see if I can figure it out. We could have a powwow. Or maybe or was that Stephanie that said that she'd figured it out?
Oh, maybe it was Kathy.
Or Kathy. Well, whoever it was, maybe they should do a class for us. Teach us how to do it. Exactly. All right. So
I can give you the YouTube channel that I watched.
That would be helpful. Perfect.
That would be great.
Perfect. Okay. If you want to put that down in the chat, if you can see that, that would be great. Like in the YouTube chat, then everybody on YouTube land can get it as well. Perfect.
Okay.
See, that's what's so great about this is we can all help each other. So it's wonderful. Okay. I'm trying really hard to keep my desk clean, you guys. I promise you. Okay. So I'm going to do, depending on time, actually, we will chain stitch all of these. And then I'm going to do one panel with you and then explain the difference to do the opposite. And then the opposite one will probably be homework. We'll see how we do for time. But first off, we're going to prepare all of our card slots first. So we're going to start with pattern piece H, which is our card slot backing, I think it's called. Yeah, card slot backing panels. We'll start with those. So you need 2 of those. I'm dropping stuff everywhere. And 2 of these top panel things. Okay. So on these top panel things, you've guessed it, we are going to use some double-sided tape again. We're going to put 1/4 inch lines from the top. I'm going to trim this up because I didn't cut it very good, on the wrong side. Now these placements and these markings are very important to make sure our card slots fit our cards. So they're not too deep and not too shallow. You need them to be really, really good. Now you're going to see me use 2 different sizes of double-sided tape. You can just use one size. I just like to use the thicker one on the bottom because I like that it holds my card slot lining better. So I'm going to put some tape, 1/4 inch tape on the top. And then 1/2 inch tape on the bottom. But if you don't have 1/2 inch tape, just use what you got. Okay, same with the opposite one. We'll do them both at the same time. Oh, that little fly. It's a little baby fly. I think it's a fruit fly. It's driving me insane. Go away. Okay. So the reason we're doing these 2 first because they're done slightly different than these ones. So what we want to do is just take the tape below the line off. And we are going to take our H piece. So we have our top panel piece here, wrong side up. And we are going to have our backing piece right side up. So this is the side that when you look into the slip pocket, you're going to see it. So you want your nice side to be there. And we're going to just go ahead and line it up nice and centered along that 1/4 inch line, like so. And then you guessed it, we're going to fold this over like this. Now we are not going to top stitch this one. That'll come later on. So it's going to look like this. So this is actually our right side, but we have our wrong side of this up. So this will be seen on the first card slot, but nobody's going to see in there, so it's not a big deal. But this is going to be the big slip pocket on the back side. And so we want to have our pretty side. Now, when we get to sewing this, we are going to have stitches through here, but nobody's going to notice those. Trust me. So I want to do the same with the opposite one. So our top panel piece is wrong side up. Our panel piece H is right side up, centered along that line. Fold it over. Now what we're going to do is on the right side here, right along the bottom of our top panel piece, we're going to go ahead and we're going to sew all the way across with an 1/8 inch seam allowance across both. Am I doing it right so far, Diane and Don?
So far, so good.
Good. If you guys notice, I'm not even looking at the instructions. I have my own pattern completely memorized because I've been making so many of these this week. And I've just really found my groove. It has my sojo going. And I managed to make it so I can make a whole one cut to finish in 3 hours now. So that's satisfying because I'm using different fabrics for each one of them. So I'm not getting bored. I was trying to production sew them, but I'm not a production sewer. I'm a process sewer. And I do not enjoy having a whole bunch and production sewing. I'd rather start with one, finish one, and then do another, so on and so forth. So I did 4 in production sewing and I was unhappy. So now I'm just back to doing one at a time. But yeah, it's good. Okay, so that's what that looks like. Now, this is something you will have to do, so use 1/8 inch tape if you need to, but kind of from underneath this little notch thing here, see how they kind of got a T? You want to take some double-sided tape and put it down right at that side, all the way down to the bottom. And that's for later. Now I can tell you on my other ones, I know this last piece we said you can't use a fraying fabric, I did with cotton and it was fine. It encloses the edges fine. So if you wanted to use a cotton for this piece, you absolutely could. Just make sure it's interfaced. I tested it out. Little flies landing on my nose. My goodness. Okay. So once you have those done, we can put these aside. We do not need them right away. Just put them aside for now. So yeah, Dawn, you will have 4 of these. Now, because we're not top stitching this and I'm using waterproof canvas, I'm just going to go ahead. My tape doesn't like waterproof canvas, so I'm just going to put some clips there to hold it for now until I'm ready to use it so it doesn't pop open. Just help it. Okay, put those aside, and we can put these 2 pieces aside for now, as well as your 4 little thingies here. Those can all go to the side. Now we're going to be doing all of our card slots in a similar fashion to what we just did, except for different. And it's going to be a little different to show you guys because I don't have a right or a wrong side to my landscape fabric, but I'll show you here momentarily. So first, I'm going to go ahead, just like we did with those bigger ones, draw that 1/4 inch line, tape and tape. Now for these ones, we did wrong side up and right side up, right? For like this piece was right side up. This one, if you're using a waterproof canvas, you want it to be wrong, this piece to be wrong side up and your card slot lining to be wrong side up. Okay, so this one is wrong side up for your card slot top panel and right side up for your card slot backing. It's similar to this, but opposite, where it's wrong side up and wrong side up. And then you're going to take this, put it nice and centered, and you'll find it'll be about the same width as this. And you're going to put it down wrong side up and wrong side up and stick it down. That's why I like the 1/2 inch tape, because it sticks it down really good. And we're going to fold over that top edge over top by 1/4 inch. And we're going to do the exact same thing for all of them. So that's one. We're just going to continue. We'll get them all prepped, and then we can go ahead and we can chain top stitch and chain sew, because these are all going to be top stitched. So the guts of this is mainly just repetitive. We just are doing the same things over and over again. Wrong side up, wrong side up. Fold over that top edge. And the way Dawn's doing it, she'll be doing these 16 times, I believe it is. How did I lose my pen? I just had it. There it is. I'll use my smaller ruler. Get back here. I love how we can't see everybody because I think they've all gone to their machines or their working tables. I'm admiring Danelda's thread on her wall. I can see it. She's come back. And Danelda, what is it? 1 more week and I get to meet you in person. Yay!
Yeah, 1 more week. What day were you going to be here?
We are driving in on Friday. So I think that's the 27th. So that's an 11-hour drive for me. So we won't be seeing anybody that day.
No.
So yeah, and we're there Saturday, Sunday, and we're driving home Monday. So you let me know on Saturday or Sunday. I know we will have dinner plans with well, I call them family. They're my chosen in-laws. They're actually my husband's best friend's parents, but I think of them like my in-laws. They're just amazing people. They're my chosen in-laws. Yeah. So I'll be spending the evenings with them. But you just let me know which day works for you, whether lunchtime or breakfast or coffee or whatever. We're staying at the Holiday Inn, which is by a whole bunch of little strip malls there, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, it's close.
It's close. So I know there's lots of little places there and everything. So I will probably be dragging my husband along unless he's taking a nap. So we'll see.
That's fine.
And yeah, walking distance if he's taking a nap is good because we're apparently taking the truck and I'm too short to drive the truck. So I will have to be in walking distance or you have to pick me up.
No worries.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we're just going to keep repeating this for all of these. You can sew these one at a time too, but I just like to batch sew, like chain sew them. Oh my gosh, here we go. Nope, there's a car going by. So this method of doing card slots is very, very much leather work. That's where I learned to do these. Is I've done a leatherwork wallet, and these were the type of card slots that were in it. So, and that's why it can't be fraying fabric because leather doesn't fray, and we're doing leatherwork stuff here. Now I have made one of these wallets in actual leather, and it turned out beautiful. I did it in a cow suede. It's my personal wallet. It's gorgeous. Almost done.
I have a bunch of pig suede. Do you think that would work?
Some which, sorry?
Pig suede.
Pig suede.
Leather.
Yeah, it would work as long as your machine can sew through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love working with leather. I love the smell of it. So pig suede, is that it's a really thin fabric or really thin leather?
Yes.
I would say for your machine, I wouldn't go over a 1 or 2 ounce. I usually do mine with a 3 ounce leather, 2 to 3 ounce leather. But you can always skive it as well if you have a skiver to get it a thin. It's just more where the seams will fold over or whatever.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. The suede I did mine in was a 3 ounce and it worked fine. I can tell you for those fold over corners though, I did have to use duct tape to hold those down because it was thicker than the vinyls I usually use, but it was fine. Coco and Dexter are being very good and very quiet today. Holy, I have them locked out of the room, but they're not barking or anything, knock on wood.
Can I ask how much you add to your cost if you're using leather for this wallet, Brandy?
What I do for my clients, if they or whatever, I just calculate how much that piece of leather would have cost, and I just add that to my cost of the wallet. So say I was making a bag that I'm selling a bag for $150, say, okay? Yeah. And I buy a leather hide for that bag, and I use pretty much that whole leather hide, and say that leather hide cost me $150.
Yeah.
I would take away the amount that I had put in for the vinyl of the bag. So say it was $150 and I used $20 worth of vinyl. Okay. Right. So I would say my bag was $130 then. And then I take that $150 that I used for the leather and add it to that $130. So that would be whatever the math is for that. Does that make sense? Yeah. I don't charge extra for the processing of the leather because it's just like vinyl, right? Unless you're skiving it, then you might want to take a little extra for yourself. But that's all I do is my clients, when they want a leather bag, I have a few that do, and we start looking at those. They just know I'm going to take the price of my bag. I'm going to take away, I always say it's $20 for the vinyl I would have used, and they're paying for the hide. I'm not making any money off of the hide. They're just going to pay it. So if they choose a $400 hide, then the bag's $400 more. Yeah. Including the shipping. Must include the shipping in there as well. Okay. Put that in the price of your hide as well. But you live really close to Tandy Leather, Dawn, so yeah, you're lucky.
Very fortunate.
Mm-hmm. Now that leather wallet I made for myself. I really only make leather for my mom and myself, unless the client requests it. But
yep.
I made myself a lavender and twine samarin, and then a matching Deuce Coupe in that mustard. I'm sure you guys saw the video. I love it. Turned out so nice. Okay, that's all my pieces done there. See, this today is much more chillax making this stuff. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to chain stitch these. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to top stitch all of the edges, and I'm going to just chain stitch them. So all along all the tops, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to chain stitch we're going to stitch from here to here all the way through for all of them. Okay, so the 2 lines of stitching we're doing in these, we're going to do them all at once. Again, top stitch through the top, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to top stitch right through here through the top panel here, and that's going to make it so this stays in. Look how much that waterproof canvas does not like my double-sided tape. That's okay. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. Whoops, that's the wrong thing. I'm trying to catch up on the chat. I keep ignoring it. I apologize. So Diane says, I know I use that for wallets, but I didn't think to use it for this wallet. Is that the landscape fabric? One roll will last you forever unless you go to a wallet making spree. I know. I bought the roll of it off of Amazon for super cheap, and I probably will never have to buy any more. Okay, so I'm going to do the top stitch first, and I'm going to chain stitch. I'm doing a little bit of a back stitch to the start and stop of each card slot, and continuing on. And chain stitching, just like in quilting, I find it faster rather than doing one and then sewing it and then doing another and sewing it, and you don't have to break your thread as much, so you save some of your thread. Oh my goodness. Come on, double-sided tape, stay. One more. Okay, then I'm going to cut them all apart. So when I need one of those things that quilters have, you know, this little thing with a blade to cut apart all of your chain stitch pieces. I need one of those. I don't know what they're called though. Little knifey thingy. Oh, I see, Diane. You're saying you didn't know you could use landscape fabric. It definitely makes it thinner, and it's strong. I learned that from, I want to say Nicole of Sonar uses landscape fabric. I want to say it's her. Okay, so now we're going to go and chain stitch all along the bottom part. Being careful not to sew them together, of course. Only 19-second leg now. That's good. It's catching up a little bit. That 42 seconds at the beginning was pretty, it hasn't been that bad in a long time. And one more. part. I think we put landscape fabric as in the pattern. I have to look. I'm pretty sure we did though, but you could use it. This is what I always use. Okay. Alrighty. Easy, hey? Not too bad. So what we want to do is we want to keep out, because I'm only going to do the one panel with you. We're going to split them in half. We're going to take out 4 of these card slots. I'm going to put the other ones aside. You're going to need this one here, your ID window, and 2 of these strips. Now, on all of our tops, we're going to go ahead with an erasable pen and measure down 1/2 inch. Now, in the pattern, it says just a nested in here, but you can see my cutting, again, really sucks. So I measure down. So from the folded over edge, you're going to measure down a 1/2 inch. This is just going to be for, I'm actually going to use chalk, for lining up our card slots so they're good. So on all of them, I'm going to go and make a 1/2 inch line down. Oh, that's not very straight. Come on, Brandy, do better. There we go. Okay. Now, once we have that, you can take this one and just put it aside for now. And all of these card slots, we're going to go ahead with an erasable pen and mark a 3 inch line down from the top. Again, I usually don't give measurements out, but it's mine and Anna's pattern. I'm sure it's fine. I give me permission to give out the measurements. So what this mark is it's going to be our guideline for when we go to sew this. 3 inch and 3 inch. Okay, so I'm going to kind of just show you what we're going to be doing, okay, and then we'll go and do it at the machine. So you're going to take this one. So again, we haven't top stitched this top part, and we're not going to just yet. We're going to take one of our card slots. We're going to remove this tape, and it's going to help stick these down together. We are going to take our first one, line it up at that 1/2 inch line, or nest, if you're really good cutting, nest those T's together like so. And you'll see that mine kind of goes all over the place. It's okay as long as it's all one thing. Again, I'm a bad cutter. Once you have that stuck in place, you're going to go and you are going to sew through this line across. Once you've sewn through that line, you're going to take another one. You're going to line it up at the 1/2 inch line like so, making sure it's nice and straight. And then we're going to sew through that line. Then we're going to do the other one, the same thing. Sew through that line, and then the last one, and leave the ID window off for now. We'll be dealing with that momentarily. So let's go ahead and do those card slots at the machine. So remove I guess you could use clips if you didn't want to use double-sided tape. You could definitely clip these together too, but I do find it just holds it all together nicely. Okay, so I'm lining it up at that 1/2 inch line. You guys see what I'm doing yet? Make it nice and centered and straight. Now, if they aren't lining up, we will be trimming that up too. Okay, once you got that, again, we're going through that 3 inch line that we did through the lining. And this is when I was saying on this card slot back, you're going to see some sewn lines, and that is perfectly fine because nobody's going to notice. Because it's on the inside of the slip pocket. See how we got the sewn lines on the back here? That's fine. Okay, so that's one in place. Do the same with the next one. Align it up at that 1/2 inch line. Stick those sides down and then sew across that 3-inch line on that one. Oh, there's the dogs. Now they're barking. Next one, that 1/2 inch line, stick it down, make sure it's nice and straight. Nice and straight. Are we straight? Sure. Cross that 3-inch line. And you'll see here, see how I'm kind of all over? Again, that's bad cutting on my part, but that's okay. We're going to clean that up momentarily. And the last one, and sew through that last one. Okay. Did I do that right? Did I forget any? We'll know here if we forgot any momentarily. This is where I'm second guessing myself if I forgot one or not. So then we want to take a card once we have those all sewn in, and you want to just kind of make sure that nothing was forgotten. Okay, so that stops there. That's good. That's good. Because if you forgot to sew a 3-inch line, that card is going to go all the way in. And we don't want that. Okay, I am good. Alrighty. I'm just going to fix this because it's not sticking. Okay, then once you have that, you're going to take your ID window. Make sure the top where the top stitching is what we're putting at that 1/2 inch line. We are not sewing this on. We're just sticking it down nice and straight like so. Now, on this opposite side, the ID window should be about 1/4 inch bigger than our card slots. If your card slots are a little bit too long, mine are just slightly, you can go ahead and just trim that up a little bit. I probably don't have to. I'm just trying to show you what you need to do because sometimes depending on how well you got that seam, it may or may not be. So now we're going to take that tape that we had left on the bottom of the card slot lining and we're going to fold it up, enclosing that raw edge of the card slots. So there's those lines I was telling you that will be on the back, and that is fine. Make sure everything is nice and straight. And then what I'm going to do, you can see all my little overhangy things here. We want to square that up. So I'm just going to use my card slot backing as my guide and trim up anything that's overhanging. There really should be nothing overhanging, but because like you cut them by hand, there could be. And I cut mine out so fast that there definitely could be. You just want to square it up like so. So that's what that looks like so far. Okay, trim up some of these. Now what we want to do is we want to work on this inside side part. So what we're doing here for the opposite side, pretend this one is done, okay? So we've done this one the same. We are going to be doing our slip pockets to the inside. Now, you can do your slip pockets wherever you want. I like my slip pockets to be on the inside of the wallet. If you want to have one here and one here, this is where you're going to do this finished edge. So I'm going to be doing this finished edge on this side. So it goes through. And on this one, I'll be doing it on the opposite side. I'll show you what I mean here momentarily. So let's start with one of them. We have our card slot edging. We want to draw a center line. Now it doesn't look like we're working with very much, so it's because this is only a 1/2 inch piece. You have to use a non-fraying fabric for this because there are raw edges. Oopsies. So this is kind of like binding in a way where you want to make sure you're going to be catching both layers. But you don't want this to be much thicker because then your cards aren't going to fit. So this is you got to keep it at the size. So double-sided tape you definitely want to use here, above and below that line. And now, again, this is the side when it's going to be in my wallet. That's what I'm talking about. This is the side I want to be the slip pocket for my cards. Okay. So I'm going to take the bottom section of the tape off, or the paper. And I'm going to line this raw edge up to that line that we drew. Now the card slot edging will probably be bigger. That is okay, longer. We'll trim that up. Stick it down nice, like so, nice and straight up against that line. So it's on the back like so. Okay. And then just like we do with waterproof canvas binding, think of it that way. We're going to fold this one over this edge. Now, because I am using waterproof canvas that doesn't like to stick, I am going to use some clips as well, just to hold that in place. And that's going to enclose that raw edge. Now, this is the tricky part because we don't want to go in with too big of a seam, but we want to make sure we're catching the top and the bottom side of this edging. I've just made a couple card slots using Emmeline Bags Rex faux leather, and it is perfection for these card slots. It's not too thick, and it just goes, and you can edge coat it. Okay. So that's what that looks like. We can go ahead and we can trim off any excess of the card slotting. Make sure you're not cutting your fabric here, though. You just want to kind of go, boop, cut off those little wings. And then we're going to go ahead and we are going to, right along that raw edge of the edging, we're going to go and we're going to top stitch through there. And then we're going to double check that we caught this side as well. Just an 1/8 inch right along the raw edge. Make sure to back stitch it start and stop. And you'll see, because it's only 1/4 inch folded over, that you'll be going right down the middle pretty much of that edging piece. And I'm double checking that I caught the other side, and I did. So if I didn't catch this other side, I would just go in with another row of stitching along the top, just make it like 2 decorative layers. But I caught everything, so I am good. Okay. All right, so that's what that looks like here. Now we want to do the exact same thing with the opposite side, but we're not going to top stitch it just yet. I'm going to actually take my lighter and just burn some of these little threads here, just so they're out of my way. I'm going to trim this just a smidgen more, clean it up a little. There we go. Okay, so we want to do the exact same thing with this opposite side, but do not top stitch just yet. Because we are going to, these 3 top stitch sides are what we're going to attach it with the lining panel. So we have just 1 line of top stitching. Okay, so down the middle. All make sense so far? So you got to think about it kind of like how you're binding with waterproof canvas. That's pretty much what it's like. Binding those raw edges. Again, if there's any questions, please do stop me. If nobody stops me, I just will assume all is good. Again, so the first side, and we're going to line it up with that line. And then fold it over. So this is where if you use too thick of a vinyl, these will not want to fold over, and you may have to cut them a little bit wider just because it gets thick here, and depending how thick it is, these strips may need to be wider. But if you're using a thin vinyl or a canvas like I am, the 1/2 inch is fine. So I'm actually I can't use clips here because we're going to be attaching this now. Okay, so I'm going to trim those up. Okay. Hopefully that sticks to my waterproof canvas. So this is what it looks like on the back. All those edges are enclosed. That's what it looks like on the front. We're going to do a quick test before we sew this in place to make sure our cards all fit still. Because the next step, there's no going back. And my ID window. Perfect. Okay, so on the wrong side of this, the long side that we did not top stitch, we're going to put some double-sided tape. And this is going to help us hold this in place. So again, if you're on a domestic machine, maybe use 1/8 of an inch, or you can use glue. Okay. Now we're going to take our lining panel. So my lining panel, I have it situated so our little divot thingies in are on the top and the bottom. This one with this card slot, I want my, not card slot, slip pocket to open to the center. You can have this any way you want. If you wanted your card slot to open to the top, you could. This side here is going to be where that center zipper is. So I like this side that flips all the way down to be where my ID window is. So now what we're going to do is we are going to measure 3/8 of an inch up with the marking pen on the short side. I can't see this pen. Let me use some chalk. 3/8 of an inch. I don't know if you guys can see that. 3/8 of an inch. Try to do it really dark so you can see it. You guys see those lines? Oh yeah, you can. And 3/8 of an inch from those three sides. And this is going to help us with the placement. Okay. So we're going to take the paper off of the back of the tape. And we want to line this up in those lines. Now, you see here how it's going right up to the side. We want to make sure there's at least 1/8 of an inch beside from this edge, and that would be probably because I cut my corner too shy. So if that's the case, just bring it in. You want to be able to have 1/8 of an inch clearance all the way around. Line it up at those lines. 1/8 of an inch clearance here. There's one here, and all the way around. Okay, perfect. Stick that down, and now we're going to top stitch this in place. We're not going to top stitch here because this is a slip pocket, but we're going to go across, up this edging 1/8 of an inch away from that raw edge, and across here, top stitching or back stitching it well. Okay, so I start at the bottom, back stitch, Needle down before you pivot around. Needle down, pivot, and across the top. All right. So that is that done. What do we have for time? Do you know what? I think we have time to do the other one, so we may as well do it. So there's our slip pocket in the middle. It's all secured all the way around, and then just double check that your cards fit again. And they do. So we got half an hour. I think we can get the other side done as well, and then there will be no homework. Let's do her. So I'll show you guys all of those steps again with the opposite side. The only difference is this side doesn't have an ID window, and we will be doing that first slip pocket side on the opposite side so they both open to the middle, unless you want your slip pocket to be along the top. It's completely up to you how you want it to go. Okay, so I'm going to start by drawing my half-inch lines. Any questions, or are we good? So half-inch line, then my 3-inch line. Half-inch. Oops, let's do this one. Half-inch. Half-inch. Okay, and once you have all those markings, we can go to the machine and sew these. All right. And then Dawn will be doing this 4 times because she's doing 4 card slot sections. Lucky Dawn. It's actually pretty fast to do these sections, so. Line it up. Stitch across 3-inch line. Line it up. Across the 3-inch line. Lucky you, Dawn. Absolutely lucky you. And again, doing the 4 card slot sections, if you're worried about thickness or doing the gussets, which is a little bit tricky, which we'll be doing next week, doing 4 card slot sections is super easy. Super easy. Because you don't have the thicknesses you're sewing through, and your wallet lays flat for all the top stitching. Whereas with the gusset, when we go to do the coin gusset section, you kind of have to, I don't know, it's a little bit trickier. You got to make sure stuff is staying out of the way. Okay, and here's my last one. But you can see, this is pretty quick once you get used to doing it. So fast. Okay, what did I do there? There we go. Okay. Alrighty. So this is my ID window without the ID window. I'm going to line it up at that line. And you can have as many ID windows as you like. Once we have that stuck on, we're going to flip it over. We should have be able to see all of that double-sided tape, which I can this time, and then fold it up to conceal that raw edge. Okay, and then we're going to take care of all this overhang from my bad cutting, trim it up. Look at my poor rotary cutter dealing with that double-sided tape. I can tell you this is probably my 5th wallet I've made. I should really change my blade out. Okay, so that's what that looks like. Let's double check that my card fits, that they don't go all the way down, they stop. Oopsies, get back up there. And we're good. Now, if you wanted to, you could baste these edges, but you want to make sure you go with like a scant 1/8 of an inch because you don't want those basting stitches to show because we have such a small binded edge. Okay, so now this is what I was talking about, was when I have this on here, I want this side to be my slip pocket like this. Now you may decide you want this side to be your slip pocket. You're just going to decide which one it is that you're going to top stitch first. So I like it to be my inside, so you do you and decide which you like. Draw my 1/2 inch or my 1/2 mark line. Do hear my thing going off. I thought I put it on do not disturb, but okay. It's just my mom talking. Sorry. And yes, Dawn, that is our Diane. I just lost my screen. 1 second here. Where are we? There we go. Nope, that's not it. Ah, there it is. Nope. There we go. Okay, so again, I'm doing it with the opposite as I did with this one for that, because I want my pocket to be in the middle. Line it up. Okay, fold it over. Trim up the excess and then top stitch just along there. My tape is not liking sticking to this waterproof canvas. Holy moly. Okay. So that is my 2 finished sides mirrored to one another. And now we can go ahead and do the final side there. So you can see how helpful the double-sided tape is with this wallet. I mean, glue will do the same thing, but you got to wait for it to dry. Oh my goodness. My screen is being all wacky. There we go. Line it up. And fold it over. Trim off the excess. Okay. And then along that non-top stitch alongside, put some double-sided tape. And you can hold it in place if you like to. I don't have much luck doing that. The tape just really helps secure where it's going to go while I'm stitching so it doesn't shift. Okay. And then on this opposite one, we're going to do our 3/8 of an inch lines from the short end and the long side. Now, when you're doing this one, make sure it's the same orientation of this. You don't want to have one that's accidentally upside down. So we're going to line it up along here. Again, making sure we have an 1/8 of an inch clearance around all of our curves. If you need to bring it in a little bit, you can. That's not straight, Brandy. There we go. I think that's good. Nope, not quite. There we go. Bring it up just a smidgen more. There we go. We got our 1/8 of an inch. Nope. Oh my gosh. Okay, try again. There. And there. That's good. Right there. Is that straight? No, it's not straight. I can barely see my chalk line here. That's why I'm struggling. There we go. Got her. We're straight. Top stitch across here, down the long side, and across. I'm just going to bring this up a little bit more. And then that'll complete that one. And down. All right. So that is our lining done. So this is where we have the 2 slip pockets going in like so. And this is how this is going to be sitting, like this, once we got that middle zipper on. So this side will be gusseted with that coin slot, and this side will drop right down. And how are we doing for time? We did that. We still got 10 minutes to spare, but we're not going to do the next step because it's going to take a little bit longer. Whoopsies. Sorry about that. Whoops. There we go. Hi. All right. So that is our lining panels ready to go. That wasn't too bad, right? Not too bad. That's what they look like. So next week, because we got all of the guts done, the first half we'll be doing the middle zipper, putting these together like so, because that middle zipper will be in the middle there. And then once we have that middle zipper in, we'll be attaching it like this. And that's where this gusset will get a little bit tricky, but we'll get through it. If you are on a flatbed machine before next class, maybe watch the tutorial just to get acquainted with what we will be doing with this side once we go to gusset it, because I am going to be doing it on the cylinder arm. And again, I'm doing it on the cylinder arm because about half of the members have a cylinder arm free arm machine, and I haven't shown how to do it on the cylinder arm, whereas the tutorial, I show how to do it on the flatbed already. So I figured it was just a way to have the best of both worlds. So I will tell you right now, it is a lot easier to control that gusset on a cylinder arm or a free arm machine, but it's completely doable on the flatbed as well. If you're worried about that, consider doing 2 panels like this one, and then it is really, really easy because you won't have to worry about those gussets at all. So does that work for everybody? Any questions at all? I'm not sure. Oh, my husband's home. My husband's home early. I'm in class. Why are you home? You're not fired. I'll fire you. He's right outside the window there. I'm just like, he doesn't usually get home. Did you hear that? You're just going to come and poke through my window here. Everybody say hi, Dave.
Hi, Dave.
Hi, class.
He's right outside. You can't see him. He could probably put his hand through here and you'd see him. But
who did he say hi to?
He said, hi, class.
Oh.
He's home early. Does that mean he gets to make dinner?
Say hi to me personally. I am so hurt.
Oh, Dave, you hurt Don's feelings. I mean, you're the only one that he's actually met in person. So.
True. Exactly. That's my point.
That's funny. Well, that's a surprise. He usually doesn't get home till 6 o'clock. So why is he home now? He's so making dinner tonight. I've decided.
Are you all Kathy?
Pardon?
Is Kathy all caught up? I saw her working over there.
I did. She works way in the back corner there. Yeah. She is, yeah. How about Danelda and Stephanie? Any questions? Cynthia, Rhonda, Diane on the other side? You're good?
I'm still behind, but
it looks doable?
Yeah, I think so.
I bet you're happy that I'm going to show how to finish it on the cylinder arm because you have the cylinder arm. Yeah. So again, if you're on a flatbed, please, please, please watch the tail end of the tutorial that I did on this, because I do explain in there how to do it on the flatbed. I just discovered how easy it was to do on the cylinder arm last week. But yeah, so much easier. So if you have a domestic machine and you have a free arm, or you can like put blocks under it to make it a free arm, do it. Trust me. But if you're on a flatbed, it's fine too. Diane has the same machine setup as I do. She's got the 1541 and the 1341. Dawn only has the 1541, but she's doing 2 panels like this, so it's easy because you don't have the part that's hard to do. And when you watch the video, you'll see it's not hard as it is. You have to just be very careful, and that's why we basted we're going to be basting these gussets on this time, because it just does make it a lot easier. But you do end up with an extra line of stitching there, which isn't necessarily as aesthetically pleasing, but honestly, you don't see it once it's together because these all get cinched in and under and you won't notice it. So all the ones I've been doing that. Do you guys want to see the 2 that I just finished yesterday? Let me grab them. I'll grab them. I'll grab all of them. So this has been my last week of making these. So, oh, but there was 2 more. I had 2 Harry Potter ones, but they sold as soon as I posted them. So I had these plus 2 more. So
you're gonna have to stop posting if you want to have something for your craft fair.
I know, but you know what? When I post it on my Facebook page and they sell, I get full price for them.
That's
my
true.
Market prices, because craft markets, you always give a deal. My craft markets, my pricing is friends and family pricing, which is 15% off, just because it's craft markets. I'm still getting good money out of it. But if somebody wants to pay full price for them before they go to craft market, I'm going to take my $70 for each of these wallets rather than 55 or whatever it would be, right? So these were things I just made out of sheets. Let me show you what these sheets look like. So I got a bunch of these from Fantastic Fabrics. I'm like, what the heck am I going to do with these? Like, I've had these for so long, and that was what these were. And I'm just like, I didn't realize this was the size. Like, they were only like $1.50 each. And I'm like, good deal. But I thought they were going to be like fat quarter size almost, you know, but this is like legal paper size. And so they've just been kind of hanging out doing whatever. And that's what I'm making all of these with. I had 2 of this. This is Supernatural. This is like one of my favorite TV shows just because I like Jensen Ackles a lot. So I had 2 sheets. So now there's 2 of these wallets and they got like little ghost zipper pulls on them. And yeah, and I'm making them all the style we're doing. So this was a week and a half ago or so. I did these 2. These were the ones I did in production sewing. These 2 and 2 Harry Potter ones. That's when I decided I don't like production sewing. This was one I did back for a long time ago. And then these are the 2 that I made this week. So again, these were these things. Oh, this one wasn't though. This one is Emmeline bags. So you can see how different they look based on the vinyl that you're choosing. So yeah, so this one I finished yesterday. This one has sold already.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. So it sold right away, and I got kitty cat zipper pulls. These are from Zipper Valley. And then that was the inside. And this here, what I used for the card slots was the Rex faux leather, the Rex faux leather from Emmeline bags. And it's thin. I actually haven't used it much since this is a thinner vinyl. It's completely industrial and domestic machine friendly, but I choose to not use it usually because it is a little bit thinner and I am on an industrial machine, so I prefer to use thicker vinyls. But the Rex from Emmeline is perfect for the card slots. So yeah, all I did here is, I don't know if you can see, I edge painted all my raw edges that you can see. So around my ID window and then around the bindings, I edge painted those, but it's like so nice. So, and just to show you from the basting on, I flip this out. You can see, can you see that? How there's 2 lines of stitching there? There's my basted line, and then I didn't quite make when I sewed it together, but I still think it looks okay, and it just made it a lot easier. So yeah, so that one, and then, oopsies. Oh, and that's where I used the number 5 pull as well, and it worked just fine. So you could use the number 5 pull for that inside pocket. And then this was another vinyl sheet that I had, and I don't know, I love this one. I think it's just so pretty. And then that's the inside of them. So I had some scrap fabric in my scrap bin. This is like a linen. It's not a cotton. It's kind of really phrase bad, but it was like almost the exact same color as the blue here. And then I had the tape that was like the same color as the orange. And then this again is Rex faux leather. So
very nice.
Yeah, so this one here took me cut to finish 4.5 hours. This one I did yesterday, cut to finish 3 hours. I'm getting faster. So
Woohoo!
it does get faster with practice. And I know that I co-wrote this pattern and I should be super fast, but I'm not. But it's getting there because I'm making so many of them because I've made so many. I think I've made, I want to say 25 or so since it released, that have sold already. And so this is just me trying to use up this vinyl that I had no idea. Like, this one's Pokemon. Like, what the heck am I going to use that for? I just got like a scrap thing. I've got a whole bunch of it, but it's perfect for these wallets. So for pricing Canadian wise, I'm juggling them. If there's a wristlet on it, I sell it for $75 because it cost me about $5 to make the wristlet. If there's not a wristlet for it, it's $65 Canadian. So none of these have wristlets on them. And I didn't choose to do them for the market ones because I want to keep my prices as low as I possibly can because people in Kamloops always want to deal at craft markets. So, but I really wanted to have like that $50 item for on the table. So this is 60. My craft market prices are 15% off. That's my friends and family pricing. And all the bags I'm taking are bags that did not sell for the year. That's what's so great about Christmas market season at the end of the year is I have made 245 bags this year, and I have, I don't know, 16 or so up there that haven't sold. So I do kind of want to blow them out to get rid of them because I don't like to have any leftover bags when I start again in January. So those will get marked down 15%, gives them like $15, $20 off. I'm still getting a good more than 2 times my money back, but it's clearing those ones out because they didn't sell right away like all these other ones did. But I always find you need to have that $25 to $50 to $60 item on your table for those that don't want to spend $200 on a bag, right? So last year I sold out all of my wallets within three craft fairs. I had done a whole bunch of Trisco wallets, men's wallets, all of that. I don't want to do a whole bunch of different kinds. I'm only doing these wallets and I'll mark them down $65. I think I will be selling them for $55, I think. Dave thinks I should go 50 because he says that's an easy thing. But really, with these little panels, this wallet maybe cost me $10 to make and 3 hours a time. So maybe $50. We will see. That's pretty good. So
save that for the second day if they don't sell on the first day.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, exactly. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 craft fairs that I'm doing. My mom is doing 14 with her hats, but I'm doing 9, and there's some really, really big ones. And last year, I think I went in with about 16 bags and 20 wallets. All the wallets sold right away. And I only had, I want to say I had 5 bags left at the end of the season. And then I just did my auction that I do on my business page and cleared those out and got all of my supply costs back for those ones. And then I started fresh in January, which is what I like to do. So, oh, Cynthia, am I allowed to tell people? So Cynthia bought this one. She messaged me, and I usually can't sell to people in the States, but because we're friends, of course. But she really wanted this one because but Cynthia, you can't say this is your class bag. You still got to make yours.
No cheating, Cynthia.
No cheating, Cynthia. But I think it's
Brandy, bring me one, and then it'll be my class project.
You want to be? Which one do you want? No. So yeah, Cynthia, she really wanted to have one of my makes, and again, my business insurance doesn't allow me to sell into the States, but so I'm just sending it personally, and she's doing that. So she's got a bag. Did you make the bag that matches this, Cynthia? She has a backpack that is similar to this fabric. So when she saw this, she's like, I want it. So she bought it. Now I got to make another one for market. Yeah. Darn, Cynthia says, yeah, no, you still have to make yours, Cynthia. I'll help you through it. Don't worry. So yeah, this is going to be my weekend, Dave, and it's Riley's birthday. My eldest son is turning 25. Please tell me how that's possible. I was telling him today that I was a year younger than him when I had him, and I was his age when I had his brother. I'm like, can you have a newborn and an 18-month-old at 25 and a mortgage and been married for 2.5 years and 2 dogs, 2 cats. And he's like, I'm not grown up enough for that yet.
I beat you. I was 21 when I had Cody.
I don't know. We're babies. I thought I was really grown up at 24. And I look at my boys and I'm just like, no wonder my parents were so worried. But they were only 19 and 20 when they had me. So
there you go.
Yeah. So
hey, Dave. Stephanie, are you still there? Can I get the name of that YouTuber that does those files? SVG files? You're muted.
Oops, can I unmute her? I don't know if I can unmute her. I can ask to unmute her. Yeah.
The one lady that I really like is Rosie Art Studios. But she uses a program that I don't know if everybody has. Okay. But it's very similar to all your other like Inkscape or anything like that. If you have something of that nature, you can do it in that as well.
Okay.
But if you don't, there's another lady that I know she uses like Word, but I can't think of her name right now, but I'll figure it out.
Okay, that'd be great.
Awesome. Well, that was a really, really, really fun so long today, guys. And it's 5:03 now, and I wonder if Dave started making dinner. I doubt it. All right. So
and then once I figure out my camera situation, I'll get rid of
the beautiful ocean.
Beautiful ocean?
Yeah.
That's okay. All right, everybody. So if you're making this through the week and you're having any issues, reach out to me. I was helping Cynthia and Stephanie over the last week. I totally do not mind. And yeah, thank you so much for some of your pointers that you guys even showed me. That's great. That's what I love about this group so much, is that we all teach each other all sorts of different and new things. So it's really, really good. I love it. I appreciate all of you so much.
Bye, everyone. Have a great night.
All right. I'll see you guys next week.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Bye.